What will Mario Kart 9's Nitro Tracks be? I did some research and imagining and created my comprehensive list of 16 fantasy tracks for the 4 Nitro Cups that I think could make it into Mario Kart 9's launch lineup. And if you stick around to the end, I'll even give you my predictions for 4 crossover track ideas using some other Nintendo IP. One of them, I really hope we get it. So let's start out at the easiest, the Mushroom Cup. For the first track, we have Mario's City Circuit. The first track in every Mario Kart game has historically been a circuit-like track. Some games it was Peach's Circuit, while others took a different route, like Mario Kart 8's Mario Kart Stadium. This time, I think we're gonna get that track themed around New Donk City from Super Mario Odyssey. Something simple, fast, and racing through the city. Maybe something similar to New York Minute? Okay, so moving on to the second track, we have Lake Lapcat. This one I think could be super fun. Imagine a track themed around the cat-like islands from Bowser's Fury. Racers would be island hopping, dodging obstacles, and utilizing the different islands in the water. I think it would just give a really refreshing and vibrant feel that would feel like a fresh take on the water levels. On to the third track. This one's a little bit of a curveball. Honey Queen Hiveway. This one sounds different, but hear me out. I'm sort of thinking of a track built off the idea of the honey levels from Mario Galaxy. Maybe there would be honey that would slow the characters down, or maybe you're drifting on the giant bee. That would be the most cursed Mario Kart level ever. Now, this won't be the only Galaxy referenced course in my list, so stick around for that one. And the final track in the Mushroom Cup, we have DK Dig Site. This track would be super simple and nostalgic. It would be a 3D representation of the original Donkey Kong game. It would sort of have those classic red beams, sort of offering a unique aesthetic that pays homage to Mario's roots while still feeling fresh in the context of a Mario Kart game. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to the Flower Cup. This is where we're gonna have some slightly more challenging courses, but nothing too crazy. The first track we're going to start out with is Winding Wonderway. This track would be absolutely wild, completely themed around Super Mario Wonder. It would take you through zany and whimsical locations from the Flower Kingdom. I'm imagining lots of interactive elements, similar to Mario Kart 8's Hyrule Circuit. Maybe the track would change when you find the Wonder Flowers. I mean, just imagine having a Wonder Flower in the game to just completely change the track. I mean, your options are endless for what you could do for this one. Second track, Toadette Pier. I placed this track in the same spot in the same cup as Toad Harbor to sort of create a part 2 or a sister course. I think it'd be kind of fun to see a part 2 track. Think of this as a sunset pier or an Atlantic City feel, not really beach themed. Something more like a romantic stroll on the pier with gorgeous visuals and all that kind of stuff. This track would sort of feel like a Sunday drive. This track would be simple, but I think it would be really fun. Okay, third, we have my personal favorite, Comec's Enchanted Forest. This track would be wild. So Comec's signature ability is his magic. The magic can do a variety of things. I mean, it can shapeshift, it can make things appear and disappear, or even enlarge or shrink. What if there was an entire forest centered around this idea and a track that runs right through the middle? Certain ramps or platforms appearing and disappearing, maybe even entirely fake sections of track. There could even be puddles of his magic on the ground where you take a random effect. If you drive over it, maybe you get a speed boost, or maybe it could invert your controls temporarily. Comec's Enchanted Forest would be an absolute standout. Nintendo, if you're listening, please make this track. Please. And to close out the Flower Cup, we have Penguin Slideway. So you remember Cool Cool Mountain from Super Mario 64, where you race the penguins down a variety of slopes? I would love a track themed around that. A track where the main obstacle is actually the penguins that are racing down the track next to you. We did have Mount Wario, which is similar to this idea, but the difference here is that the track would be focused on the penguins. Maybe there are groups of them on the sidelines cheering you on or throwing snowballs at you. I think it'd be super fun to have a track where the NPCs are racing with you. Okay, so now on to the Star Cup. This is where things are going to start to get really interesting, as the tracks are going to start to get really challenging. If you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much. Be sure to like the video if you like the video, and subscribe, and make my Discord server way less lonely. Kicking it off really strong, we have Toad's Puzzle Park. We all know and love Captain Toad. I think it'd be fun if we got a track focused around solving puzzles. Maybe whole sections of the track are dependent on hitting switches for shortcuts to open, and what better Mario game to theme this track around than Captain Toad? Second, we have Funky Island. Funky Kong is one of the most fun, unique, and boisterous characters, and one of the most underutilized. I mean, we rarely see him. Whenever we do, he's quickly a fan favorite. So what if we gave him a whole track? I mean, he loves surfing, so what if it was something related to that? Third, we have the Comet Observatory. Starting off at the Star Festival, players would race across the Mushroom Kingdom, headed towards Peach's castle, with star bits raining down on them. By the time you get to the castle, you take a warp star up to the Comet Observatory for the final leg of the track. And to finish out the Star Cup with a bang, we have Bob-omb Blastway. This track can be only described as chaos. The track would be a literal bomb factory. The whole track would be littered with explosions, with timed openings, and a sense of a ticking time bomb. Maybe the track is poised to explode and you have to get out before it does. Okay, moving on to the most challenging cup, the Special Cup. And just a reminder, after these 4 tracks, I'm going to share my thoughts on 4 more tracks that Nintendo could use for crossover tracks. So starting out, we have Lakitu Sky Circuit. Now, believe it or not, I actually had to look up this character. I hadn't heard of him before. People were telling me that he's a character that appears when you fall off the map in Mario Kart. You guys are falling off the track? Lakitu's whole thing is saving us from falling. So, what if we designed a whole track around that idea? The whole track would be designed for you to fall. I think it'd be a super fun track to have it totally themed around not falling. Second, we have K. Rool's Treasure Trove. Imagine a track completely treasure-laden and the pirate theme from the Donkey Kong Country series. Twists and turns with treasure chests and jumping from pirate ship to pirate ship. I think this track would be super fun and a totally fresh type of track that we haven't really seen before. Now, these last 2 tracks are going to be no surprise, but I think they could actually do it kind of differently this time. The Bowser's Castle, I think, should be totally themed around Bowser's Fury. Maybe the whole track is sort of that black and white, chaotic look that Bowser had in the Bowser's Fury game. Something really grungy and new. And maybe instead of it just being rock music, it's like actually heavy metal. Imagine heavy metal music with Bowser Screamo. And finally, Rainbow Road. Easily one of the most iconic Mario Kart track types that there is. Frankly, I didn't really know what to do with this one. Since there have been so many Rainbow Roads before, it kind of makes you wonder what they could do next. So here's my thought. What if we just took the best parts of each of the Rainbow Roads and tacked them onto the end of each other? Sort of like a Rainbow Road Ultimate. So maybe you start out with the iconic big, deep slope from Mario Kart Wii to then land on a platform that takes you on the loop-de-loop from the DS, for example. I think it'd be really interesting to see sort of a mashup of different Rainbow Road tracks. As promised, here are the 4 dream tracks that I think could be good for crossovers. First, Pokemon Safari. Imagine a track set in a safari environment where you pass through a bunch of different biomes and encounter all sorts of Pokemon. It would be so fun. You could pass through like a grass area and maybe like a little aquarium where you see Piplup, or maybe through a scorched earth kind of area and see Charizard. I think it'd be a super fun way to sort of incorporate both racing and Pokemon. Second, Inkopolis. There's no doubt in my mind that this would instantly be one of the most popular tracks in the whole game. I mean, the potential for creativity here is just insane. I mean, imagine the ink splotches around the track for players to avoid. I'll be honest, I've only played the first 2 Splatoon games, so I don't know too much about what the current Splatoon scene kind of looks like, but I think it's just super obvious from just the Splatoon world itself that there's just endless ideas here to totally keep things fresh. Third, Kirby's Dream Land. This one speaks for itself. I mean, a Kirby track would totally fit right in. Now, what I think would be super cool is if they did a 1-to-1 remake of a Kirby's Air Ride track. But I think even a Kirby in the Forgotten Land track themed something would be great too. Something colorful and whimsical. It just Kirby all the way would just be a fun track. And lastly, Spaco's Speedway. If you've ever looked at the map on Switch Sports, you can clearly see roads connecting all the arenas. So why not turn that into a course? You could have players drive through the open doors, jump over the volleyball courts, splash into the Chambara Arena, and even drift across the soccer field. I think this track would be really fun. So, what do you guys think? What would be some dream course ideas that you have? Let me know down in the comments below, and I will see you guys in the next video.